Hello friends, and welcome back to my crafty space. My name is Crystal, and in today's video, I'm going to be sharing a flip through of the first half of my 2021 Project Life album. My album this year is in a 9x12 format. I purchased my actual album, which is a light gray, from Scrapbook.com, which has 3 rings in it. Now I do use a combination of page protectors from both Scrapbook.com and from Ali Edwards. Ali has the layout that's got 12 3x3 squares. The rest of the page protectors I generally get from Scrapbook.com because I just prefer the sizing in the pockets in those page protectors versus other ones. So what we're going to do is we're going to flip through the first 26 weeks in this album. I am going to do my very best to remember where the products came from or what kit I used to tell those stories, but please be aware that I do have process videos for every single layout in this album, and I will create I actually have created a playlist that holds all of these videos together. So if you're looking for where you can find more information about the products or the stories in that particular week, that's where you want to go. I am going to go ahead and link that down in the description box with this video. So if you want to find that playlist, you can just click on the link down there. All right, so let's go ahead and jump in. When I am starting off my Project Life albums, I always like to start them the same way, and that is with a photo of each of our family members during the first week of the year. So here you can see a picture of my husband, Aaron, myself, my son, Jonah, and my daughter, Isabella. Then I put a journaling card down here at the bottom. These came from a digital stories by the month kit from January. I'm not sure which one. It could have been 2017 or it could have been 2018. I also have this 2021 acrylic piece that was from Colorcast Designs. All right, so then we're going to go to the next page. Now, a lot of these pages, I will have a double page spread where the configurations are the same. So for this one, I've got the where there are 2 of the 4x6 photos, and then the rest of them are filled in with 5 of the 3x4 photos. But what I love about working in this album this year is I'm allowing myself to use all different types of page configurations. So sometimes they will be like this, where everything is really balanced. Other times there may be a page that looks like this and one that's got a lot more photos. So you'll see as we flip through this kind of how that rolls together. For this one, I used a January Stories by the Month kit to tell my stories. This one, I believe, was the 2020 physical kit is what I used, and just, you know, took some pictures from my daughter's birthday, which was on the 6th. I accidentally stamped my dates upside down, so I've got January 1st to January 10th, and that also brings me to the point of dating. I decided when I started out this year that I was not going to title my cards with the week number, but was only going to use date stamping instead. So you'll see a lot of times I will have a title card that just has a label with the date stamps in it. The reason I did that is because the first week of the month generally has more than 7 days, or I would have to create a layout that's just about 2 or 3 days. So instead, I just lump them all together and call that week 1. I will do the same when we get to the end of the year, where if there are just a couple of days in the next week, I will just lump those in with the last week of the year as well. Next, I am using another Stories by the Month kit. So this was an older January digital kit. I used some of the chipboard pieces. A lot of times I like to choose a treatment formula to use on my photos or to use on similar elements throughout my page. So one example of that is here I am using some of the green tiny phrase stickers, and I'm pairing it with these chipboard asterisks, which came from the Storytelling Basics collection, and that became a similar treatment that goes on a lot of the different elements in this layout. Next, I have a layout using the Action Story Kit from Ali Edwards. This one came out in January, I believe. I used some stamping to create my title card. There was an arrow that I used, and I created, I used my Ali Edwards Crafters inks to do my stamping. So I've got the card here, and then I also have 4 of them on the opposite side. So here's where you can see the first time I am changing it up in terms of my pockets. So I have the same pockets I've been using all along over on the right side, or on the left side. On the right, I am using a page protector that has 9 of the 3x4 pockets. So I alternated photos with journaling cards, and the journaling cards I stamped in such a way that it directs your eye around the page. I really love how that turned out. So this happened to be the week that Biden was sworn in as our president, so I wanted to include that as part of my storytelling. To do this, I grabbed a photo of the New York Times front page, which I have an app on my phone called Front Pages, which is a place where you can get images like this. And then I stuck it in here as an insert on my page. And then I also just did an extra photo from a day at the zoo with the family on the back side. So that was a fun way to add in a few more pieces of the story. This is really the only insert I've done like this, and I need to think about how I could add some more pieces like this in the future. For the next week, this would have been the last week of January, the 25th to the 31st, I used the Kindness Story Kit from Ali Edwards to tell my stories. So I used, for my repeat elements, I've got these rose gold starburst pieces that I used as titles for a lot of my photos. I also included some of the plastic phrases. So I've got be kind, let it be, and seek gratitude. So just some similar elements that help to make everything feel more cohesive. I also really like these layered 3 felt hearts here on my title card. It's really fun. I like having different textures as well. It just makes things a little bit more interesting. For this one, I have the 3x4 9 pockets on the left side, and then over here we are back to the 2 4x6 pockets with the 5 3x4s. So just kind of playing around with configurations. Here's one where I put in a different pocket configuration. On the right side, I have one that has 3 of the 4x6 and 3 of the 3x4. So just a way to include different orientations of pictures. And I chose this one because I had a couple of pictures that were better, or I liked them better, when they were horizontal instead of vertical. This one was the first week of February. We went with my sister to find her wedding dress. She's getting married in the middle of November this year, so that was really fun, and just documenting some outdoor snow days. For this one, this was a digital kit, so I did print it off, and I like to print my digital kits on matte white photo paper because it gives me the best saturation of color. So most of these cards, actually I think all of these cards, came from an older February Stories by the Month kit, and I just printed them out. I also printed out some ephemera, or like chipboard pieces that I cut out or trimmed out and put down on the photos, pairing them with a tiny little asterisk from the Storytelling Basics collection. So really, really love the way that this one looks. It's super bright and colorful. Next, I have a layout that I used the physical February Stories by the Month kit from 2020. So, not for 2020, 2021, this year. For this one, I went back to the 9 3x4 photos, and then I've got the 3 of the 4x6 on this side. This one, I chose to do a lot of photos over here because we went to the zoo this week, and I just felt like I had a lot of photos that I wanted to include. So I only have the 2 journaling cards that are a home for my story, and then the rest of them I used to fill in with photos. I also loved this card here that has these little boxes because it allowed me to put photos, more photos of an event from this week on there. This was actually just hanging out with our niece, Mabel. So that is this one here. Next, I am using the Best Friends Forever, I think is what it was called, or Friends Forever something like that from Feed Your Craft to tell my stories. So this one, I've got the 3x4 page, 9 3x4s over here, and then we're back to that original configuration on the right side. So this one, I really liked these tags, and I liked the idea of tying on some twine there just to give it a little bit more texture. One of the things that you'll notice in a lot of my spreads is that I have a lot of journaling included. I am someone who just enjoys writing. It's something I have always loved to do. So for me, it's really difficult to not put a bunch of words in my layouts. And it's one of the things that I like to go back to later on and read the stuff years later, because it just gives such a clear picture of what life was like in these moments. Next, I have a layout where I used the Evening Story Kit from Ali Edwards, right? No, sorry, this is Cozy. The Cozy Story Kit from Ali Edwards. This one I left very plain and neutral. There were a couple of these plastic words in the kit, so I stapled them onto a bunch of different spots on my layout. I think there are 4 photos that are homes for the plastic words. I paired those with a cardstock heart sticker just to help draw your eye to the word so that you would recognize that there is something there. I also really love to use embellishments, stickers, that sort of thing as bullet points. I do it in a lot of my story projects, but I also sometimes like to do it in Project Life. So I did that here with some of those smaller heart cardstock stickers as well. Next, I have a layout where I used the March Digital Stories by the Month kit. This one would have been maybe 2017 or 2018 digital kit. And I love the bright colors. March is one of my favorite months typically for Stories by the Month, and so is August, because they usually have a lot of really bright colors in them, and I'm drawn to them like crazy. So for this one, I put in a lot of oranges and teals. Here's where you can see just lots of story on the page. I was talking about podcasting and going out to eat and homeschooling, which we were still doing at this point in time, reading. So just everyday types of stories. This one, my design formula was to use these half circle stickers and pair them with some of those asterisk, which I think these actually came in the kit this time, the asterisk not cardstock, they are, gosh, why can't I think? No, you know what? They didn't come in the kit. These were from an older, maybe Week in the Life chipboard set, so chipboard asterisk stickers. I love the asterisk icon or shape. It's one of my favorites. So whenever Ali comes out with these, I always buy up a whole bunch of them and end up using them on all the things. For this layout, I am using the March Physical Stories by the Month kit from 2021. By the way, in case you don't know, up to 2021, all of the story kits, Stories by the Month kits from Ali Edwards were released the previous year in digital form. So, for instance, if I say this layout was the 2021 physical Stories by the Month kit from March, you can actually find this kit digitally available from the previous year. So this would be the 2020 digital kit. Starting in 2022, Ali is planning to release her digital and physical kit at the same time. So if you are watching this video prior to 2022, or I should say after that point, know that these physical products are available. They are available digitally, just they're labeled as the previous year. Okay, so for this one, I used a couple of different design elements. So this one, I've got some of these label stickers that I then layered with chipboard or with each other. So like here, I've got it with chipboard. Here, I've got a couple of them layered. Here, I have a couple of them layered. And that was a fun way to use up a bunch of those stickers. I also took 2 of the triangle chipboard pieces and used them almost as photo corners. I thought that was kind of a fun way to use that shape. For this one, I am using the Bloom Story Kit to do my storytelling. So The thing that I love with using a digital kit, which is what I did on this side, I believe these may have been, I think this was all done with digital product. One of the things that I love to do is to take one card from that kit that can be a journaling card and to repeat that exact same card a couple of times. So here you can see this I've got this card is repeated 4 times. To me, it helps to make everything feel really balanced on the page and not as busy. Like it simplifies things for your eye. So I really like that as a design element, a repeating element. For this one, I added these cork hearts to a lot of the photos, if not all of them. I think just most of them got a cork heart. Those were from the Storytelling Basics collection. And then just lots of journaling per the usual. Next, I am using a kit from Paper Person. This one was the Made from Scratch kit is what it was called, I believe. And one of the things I did was to add a label onto many of the photos, and then I used a Slick Writer pen to add some additional journaling about those different photos. So this is a great way to add more words if you also want to add more photos. So if you're running out of room to add journaling cards in, that's another way to add some context about your photos. I, again, am using those asterisk stickers all over the place. Love those so much. And a lot of these stories are just really fun ones to have documented. We went to the zoo again. That's just something we regularly do every month. I had my first COVID vaccine that week. Went out to eat. The kids licked permanent marker, which was, a whole thing. And then some pictures of food. I don't typically document my food very often, and because this kit was food forward, so it was made from scratch and it was all about food, I used that as an opportunity to document stories having to do with food or things that we were consuming. So that was kind of fun. Like, for instance, we did not consume this dirt pie, but Jonah made me a dirt pie, and that was something that was food related, so it made sense for it to go in the stories for this week. Next, I have a layout where I used the Connect story kit from Ali Edwards. For this one, it came with a bunch of these large plastic hearts, and I used a couple of them throughout the spread. Well, I guess in just these 2 cards. Then it also had plastic titles that I used on many of the photos. So you'll see those as labels at the top or bottom of a majority of my photos. Another thing I wanted to do was similar to using the label stickers. This time, the kit came with a 4x6 card that had 5 circles, like messy circles on them. So I cut the messy circles out, and then I used them as labels on my photos to add more journaling. And I paired them with these really awesome metal heart brads. I really love those metal heart brads. They are super cool. I even bought a second set of them to have potentially for December daily or, any other project I want to do like that. So this week, I had a ton of photos that I wanted to document, and I really loved the idea of doing 2 side-by-side page configurations with the 9 3x4 photos. Then I added my photos into the middle 2 rows and left the outer rows for my journaling and my title card and a filler card. My journaling card, I did the same thing as before, printed off the same one 4 times with my different stories inside of them. And I just like the way that this feels super balanced and super clean. That's, I really, really love that. One of the design elements I did this time was to use a puffy heart sticker and pair that with a tiny phrase sticker on top. So many of the photos have those as well. Next, I have a layout, and I should also say, by the way, that this was a digital Stories by the Month kit from April. This was the physical Stories by the Month kit from April. When I am using this layout right here with the 9 3x4 cards, I really like the look of alternating photos and journaling cards. So having my journaling cards go in these 4 spots and my photos go in these 5 spots. You'll see that many times throughout my album. I like the way that looks, and I like the opportunity to tell lots of different stories. Then on the right hand side here, I've got more photos, a little bit of journaling. And for this one, I used chipboard and tiny phrase stickers across all, or not, maybe not all, but most of the photos. For this week, this would have been April, so we're in the middle of April, middle to end, the 20th through the 26th. This one I used the, I don't remember what this one was called. It was like AM and PM kit, but that's not what it was called. Something like that. Time of day, maybe it was time of day, from Feature Craft. So I've got a bunch of different cards in here. One of the things I will point out too is when it comes to my journaling, most of the time I print my journaling on the computer. So I have a tutorial for how to print journaling directly onto your journaling cards from your computer using either Photoshop or Microsoft Word. I will link that in the description box for you in case that's something that you're interested in doing. Now, the reason that I do that is not because I hate my handwriting. I actually don't mind my handwriting. However, when I type my text, I can fit more of it onto a journaling card. So I generally type because I have a lot to say. And, you know, when I want to do a layout very quickly, when I don't want to spend a lot of time journaling, then I will handwrite. So you'll see occasionally there will be spreads where I've handwritten my journaling, but most of the time I am typing it. For this one, I did some label stickers with tiny phrases on top. The tiny phrase stickers were actually from the Feature Craft kit. And then one of the things that I really liked was this over here. So there is a word search card. And what I did is I pulled out some of my tiny phrase chipboard stickers that fit across a section of the letters, and then I added those on there as if they are extra words on the crossword. I thought that was really fun, or word search. It's a word search, not crossword. Super fun. Okay, so next I am using the, it wasn't called Mornings. Sorry, it's very hard for me to remember what every kit is called. This one was Good Morning is what it was called. It was from Paper Person, and obviously has a very morning themed product. So for this one, what I did is I pulled out the floral and kind of neutral colors or patterns, and I used those as my cards. And then I would embellish with some of these chipboard pieces that made the most sense. And then what I did is I took some circle labels. I can't remember if these came in the kit or if I had them. And I added those to most of my photos and hand wrote my journaling to add in some context about that photo. Since I didn't want to cover up the beautiful patterns on these cards, I printed my journaling on vellum and then stapled it on top of the cards themselves. So that allows me to still see the pattern behind, but I can also still read the stories. This one, I had a ton of photos. I want to say that, why did I have so many photos? You know, we went to the zoo. That seems to be a pattern for me. When we go to the zoo, I take a lot of photos. So those weeks have a very photo heavy week. So we went to the zoo, and then we had like a backyard bonfire with our neighbors, and I took a bunch there too. So just a lot of really awesome photos that I loved that I wanted to make sure to put in this week. For the next week, I wanted to try something really different and to do 2 side-by-side layouts with the 3x3 pockets. This configuration is not available on scrapbook.com. It is only available through Allie Edwards. And I love the way that this looks. It's just so gridded out. I totally love it. This was the week of Mother's Day, which is why I did mom stories for all of my journaling cards here. I did add in 2 of these filler cards, and then I created my own chipboard by printing off the digital chipboard set, adhering it down onto a piece of actual chipboard that I get from scrapbook.com, or the kind that comes in the packaging when you order 12 by 12 paper. And then I fussy cut that out and added it onto my photos. I really love the way that this one looks. It's super fun. Next, I have a layout that is all about getting our house prepped to sell. So for this one, I took photos of all of the rooms in our house after we had gotten them totally set up and ready for our open house or to take pictures for our listing. So I have lots of photos here, and this is always, I'm always so happy to have layouts like this one, because when this home, which we're working on moving out of, is no longer our home, I will be so happy to have photos or photographic evidence of what our house looked like. This is our first house, so it does have a really special place in our hearts. So I talked about how this week was hard to get everything ready to go, and then also on the right-hand side, I have some pictures about getting my bridesmaid's dress and Aaron reading to the kids and going out for a beer with Aaron to celebrate being done with this project. For this one, I used the physical May Stories by the Month kit. This one I just cut down the 3x4 card into a 3x3 and added a label there at the bottom. So I like, this one came together real nice. Also love when we get cards that have prompts that have senses. So may feels like, may tastes like, may sounds like. That's always a really fun prompt for me to use when documenting. Next, I have a layout where I have used a paper person kit. I cannot remember what kit this one was. I don't remember. This might have been like a week in the life-ish type product. I don't really remember, you guys. I'm sorry, but this would have been from Paper Person. I do know that, from a 2021 kit, one of the subscription kits. For this one, I loved using all the blues because we ended up going to my cousin's to go and swim in their pool, and then my son is wearing his teal bathing suit, which goes with a lot of the colors here. This week, we had our house listed. We had an open house. We were staying with my parents. It was just kind of chaotic. It was my husband's birthday. So just a lot happening. And, it's really nice to have some of the journaling from that time where I can look back and remember the drama, the stress, and also the excitement of getting our house ready to sell. For my next spread, I am using an older feature craft kit that I had in my stash. So for this one, I pulled out a bunch of product that I had. I believe this was it was definitely from a 2020 kit, but I don't remember which one. Maybe something to do with home, something along those lines. But the reason I pulled these particular cards is because I liked how bright and colorful they were, with a lot of the photos that were also bright and colorful. This one, I also grabbed this like an icon or what does she call it? A shapes puffy sticker set, and there were a bunch of flowers on there. So I used the flowers as a repeat element for my spread. So those go on almost all of the photos. And, again, that's just an easy way to get things embellished without having to think a whole lot about it. For my next layout, I used a June Stories by the Month kit. This week, we went to a wedding up on Mackinac Island for one of my husband's best friends. And this one, I wanted it to feel really bright, but also kind of airy and simple. And it turned out really pretty awesome. From the digital kit, there was a 4x6 journaling card that had these 3 icons. So the 1, the 2, and the 3. So those were all on one card. When I created this, I actually dissected that apart and created 3 individual 3x4 cards using the 1, 2, 3. So I could add more journaling, and then it's as though I have told 3 different stories. For this one, I am using those asterisk chipboard again. I am pairing that with a tiny phrase sticker and then pretty much keeping it at that. So just really, really simple. This layout was using the June Physical Stories by the Month kit from 2021. This one, again, is very colorful, and I love that. I just really love when there's a lot of colors in a kit. For this one, I have a ton of journaling on here. I talk about some of the stresses to do with the housing market and searching for a house that we would like. And I talk about how we actually found one that we really loved. So I can't remember if we put an offer in on it this week or if that was the next week, but that's definitely something that happened around this time. We did go down to Royal Oak here in Michigan and do a little bit of shopping that week, so I have some pictures from that. And I was able to meet one of my crafty friends for dinner with her husband when they were here in Michigan visiting family. So that was a really fun thing from this week. For my June 14th through June 20th, layout, I am using the Laugh Story Kit from Ali Edwards. I really loved these huge cork starburst pieces, and I thought it would be really fun to put that as my title, stick one of these circle labels on top, and just add my date stamping right on there. Then to help make this feel cohesive, I took out all of the cards that had this scripty font on there. So we've got laugh, smile, giggle, funny, and hilarious. And then I added my journaling on that. I also grabbed some of the speech bubbles out, and I added a bunch of these tiny phrase stickers that I also paired with some of the clear stickers that came in the kit. For June 21st through 27th, I used the Strong Story Kit from Ali Edwards. I love using the story kits in my project life. The thing that I love about it is that it gives me a different angle to tell my stories from. So, from one week, we're talking about stories that made me laugh that week. There was, another one where, let me see if I can find another story kit. Another one where we're talking about, okay, maybe not, it's been a while, connecting. So like all of the things that made me feel connected that week. For this one, it's all of the things that are either a strength or a challenge. So I'm putting out there, like, here's where I feel strong, here's where I'm challenged, and then just some different stories about the week. Super love this one. All the greens in this kit were just dreamy, especially working with the more summer looking photos where the greenery is in full effect here in Michigan. So, outside's totally green, and I've got a bunch of pictures that include it. So that really, really is pleasing to my eye. One of the techniques that I did, or the formula that I followed this time, was to use either chipboard or puffy heart stickers and to pair them with those tiny phrase stickers that came in the kit, or to just have them interact with the edge where a piece is being cut off. This is the last layout that I am sharing today. This was week 27, and I used the physical July Stories by the Month kit for this layout. This one was the first week that my book club met back in person again, so that was a really significant story. I've also got some photos from being with my in-laws, and this was the 4th of July. In addition to this being the 4th of July week, this is also the week that I decided to document Week in the Life, because the Community Week in the Life day was the day that, or week, was the week where we were preparing our house to sell it. So it was so abnormal that I didn't want that to be the week that I documented. So instead, I did this week. Because of that, this spread is very photo heavy and filler card heavy. I think I have two. Yep, I have just 2 cards in here. One that has a 1 through 5 where I could just list out 5 things from the week, and this one that was specific to the 4th of July, which happened on this week. I left it at that because the rest of my stories will be very detailed in my Week in the Life album when I go to actually put that one together at some point. So that is my first half of my 2021 Project Life album. I super love the size of this. I'm very, very happy that I switched from 12 by 12 to 9 by 12 this year. I definitely will not go back to 12 by 12 next year. I will continue in this size because I just feel it's very easy to put the spreads together. I feel like I have a little bit of creative freedom to pick different configurations without it feeling overwhelming. And then I like the scale of the album and the pages when they're open. It doesn't feel too obnoxious to actually flip through the pages. So that's just my 2 cents on the 9x12 sizing. All right, friends, well, I hope that you have enjoyed seeing the first half of this album flipped through. If you did enjoy this video, I would love a thumbs up down below. And if you haven't already, make sure that you are subscribed so that you can see all of my future crafty videos that I will be releasing. I have a couple more flip throughs that I am going to be posting over the next week or so. As I am packing up my studio, I figured this was a great time to pull out some of my finished albums and film the flip throughs of those to share with you, especially since I'm going to have a couple of weeks here where I'm not able to create content. So this gives me some videos that I can put up for you guys to watch. Anywho, I will be back with some more videos later in the week, so hopefully I'll see you back here then. Until then, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, and I will catch you in the next video. Bye, friends.